Good afternoon or good morning if you happen to be on the West Coast, and welcome to today's webinar entitled SAP S/4HANA, A Day in the Life of a Finance User, Reporting and Analytics. My name is Rihanna Thompson, and I will be your moderator for today. And we have just a few announcements before we begin today's presentation. This webinar is designed to be interactive between you and our presenter. So if you have any questions during this presentation, feel free to type them out into the Q&A panel. However, in the interest of time, we will try to answer all questions during our Q&A session at the end. We will hopefully have time to get to everyone. Now, I'd like to begin by introducing our presenter for today, Ludo Babiak. Ludo is a solution architect at Illumity. With that being said, Ludo, I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Rihanna, and welcome everyone who are interested in the financial reporting. So let me start with my presentation first. Let me just go. Let me introduce myself briefly. I've been working with SAP Finance for 25 years in various industries with all kinds of finance topics. I'm excited about the new SAP technologies, Fiori, new reporting, machine learning, even predictive analytics. And in my personal life, I am blessed with a bunch of grandchildren, and I love spending time with them very much. So that's me. Let's talk about today's agenda and the expectations. First, I'd like to introduce to you the types of reports in S/4HANA. I will be talking about the S/4HANA on-premise financial reporting and analytics out of the box. I will show you types of reports and particular reports or tiles or KPIs, how they come directly from with SAP. And then in the end, I will introduce you to the new flexible reporting structures in finance, how they can be actually helpful in further flexibility in reporting. I will not be talking about the classic GUI reports in Fiori. They're still under tiles connecting to GUI reports. I will not be talking about reporting with planning or budgeting. This is a separate topic, and it really needs more time. And I will not talk about analysis for Office or any other reporting tools like Webby or others. And I will not be talking about the SAP Analytics Cloud. That's also a separate topic, and I would be more than happy to arrange another session on that particular area. All demonstrations today will be executed in our internal system of 1909. So it's quite likely that you will see some features that if you're running 1709 or 1809, you don't have them right now. I'm showing you the best, latest resource and SAP standard out of the box. But just keep in mind that if you are looking for similar features, you make exactly the same. But mostly you should. There can be some exceptions though. So what is new? Interface, user experience are versatile, using predefined or easily adjustable CDS views. So it's different from the GUI reports where it's mostly based on database tables directly. Here it's user-friendly and more modern looking. It's more actionable with built-in links to relevant functions, and I will show you exactly in a few demos what I mean by that. Then there is this big thing, embedded analytics. In many standard reports or KPI tiles, you will see that the analytics is already embedded. You don't need to be in a BI system or using any specific tool. It's there for you, directly available with flexible features, and I will show you as many as we can during the presentation. So these reports Excel, Adobe, and these reports are also supported across. So if or phones. I'm not saying that everything is working perfectly in all devices. I'm saying it's supported across devices. If you want to see something that requires a big screen, then it's probably not that easy to see on a phone. But generally speaking, it's all supported across devices. Big question seems to me, at least, is how do I recognize Fiori apps from GUI apps? So, general question is that Fiori apps usually have some sort of logo on their tiles, like I'm showing here in the box, either a logo or a number or something. But it's not really the best way of recognizing Fiori apps, because some of the old classic GUI reports have some logos on them as well. So it's not really a perfect way to distinguish between GUI report and Fiori apps. But it's worth a try. So first, what kind of finance reports do we have in Fiori and S4HANA? I created these 4 categories for our presentation, and I will be talking about operating reports, then about queries and query browser and multi-dimensional reports in general. Then I will be talking and showing to you KPI and OPI tiles, KPI meaning key performance indicators, and OPI operating performance indicators, and then overview pages. We'll discuss all of them in detail, but these are 4 categories that we'll talk about. So first, operating reports in finance. These are providing quick access to data in daily operations. So they are not meant to be for your financial statements, but more like, okay, I need to see line items or balances or quick income statement on the screen or production cost analysis. These are the types of operating reports designed specifically for Fiori. Sometimes you will see similarities between new Fiori apps and the old classic GUI transactions, and for good reason, right? The GUI transactions, they've been actually fulfilling their mission for many years. They are in many cases very good, but here in Fiori it's even enhanced and designed slightly differently from the looking point of view and from the supporting across devices point of view. Many of these reports are actually portals to various corresponding functions. So what I show you, when you go to, for example, display line items for suppliers, you will be able from that particular one app, one tile, go to various functions for suppliers, not only displaying line items, but many more than we used to see in GUI, in the ERP system. Examples of such operating reports are, as I mentioned briefly, are managed supplier line items or customer line items. In case of supplier line items, the app is very similar to what we know from T-code FBL1N, those who have been running SAP in ERP or still running. Then they provide these apps provide details, line item details and accounting documents, and you will see direct link to additional AP functions like payments, blocking, unblocking invoices, clearing open items, and etc. With that, let me switch to the system. So I go directly to Fiori, the Fiori Launchpad. I will talk about the apps and the groups a little later. Let me just go for now to demonstrate to you the operating reports. So as I mentioned in my examples, one is the supplier line item. When I click on the tile, I get to the filter. I can actually change. It's similar. It's differently arranged from what we know from SBL1N, but it's similar, right? Like you have a supplier, customer, company code, status, open items, or cleared all items, key date if I want to see open items as a particular key date, and then what kind of item type, normal, statistical, noted items, parked items, similar what we know from ERP. If I click on go, I get the line items. Now I can close the filter area so I see a bigger screen. And from here, if that's what I'm looking for, I can see that these line items are still open, or right, I can see whether it's cleared or not, but I selected open items, so I only see open items. And from here, of course, I can go to particular details. So if I go journal entry, let's say this one, I can see the journal entry, which is understandable and expected. And here I can see by item, so I see item 102, and I can see details. I can investigate more if I want to drill down or go to another details from here. If I come back and I click on the supplier line, I can see details for the particular supplier. I can see first what I expect from the master data point of view, annual spend, company code data, contact information, and so on. But what I was talking about before was that from here, I can go to many other functions, right? I can go directly to clear outgoing payments, or I can go display supplier balances, or post outgoing payments. So I can use, this is what I meant, like you can see the links from here to many area relevant topics or functions, which was not exactly possible in ERP. So this is one quick example of the supplier line items. If I go to the other example for customer line items, it's similar, as you can expect. Customer company code, I can select what I want to see, but if I just click on go, I see similar functions here. And here, even that's another feature, what's available for suppliers and customers. I can select particular items here, and if these functions are relevant to the open items, I can go directly to these functions. I can go block for payment, unblock for payment, which is more for suppliers bar. If I'm using dunning, I can go directly from here and block it for dunning, right? So, or as before, if I click on the customer, I can go directly to the master data or particular selected links, or if I click on more links, I can get another list of all other functions from which I can go directly to maintain or print correspondence or whatever I need to do. Of course, if you know that you want to do correspondence, you would not start here. This is only a way, an option to go directly to these cross area functions. I'm just showing you shortcuts. Of course, there are other tiles which bring you directly to a particular function like dunning or blocking or correspondence printing customer statements. My point was that from these many of these tiles in Fiori, you have many available links to go to other relevant functions in the area. So these are operational reports in Fiori. These are two examples I have for this presentation. Next, the second category is reports based on queries, and they are generally speaking multi-dimensional reports. They are based on the CDS views. SAP has provided, I don't know, hundreds of CDS views, standard CDS views based on database tables, which can be used immediately by users out of the box. I will show you in a minute what it means. And these CDS views, although standardly delivered by SAP, they can be relatively easily adjusted by technical people, right? So if you want to add particular field from cross table from something else, it can be adjusted, and such does enhance your reports based on these CDS views. These multi-dimensional reports have consistent navigation. You can deal with measures and dimensions directly from the screen. You can play with layouts and filters and personalize tiles directly from the screen. I will show you that. You can jump between tables and charts. So out of the box directly, you not only see numbers and tables, but you can go directly to pie charts or bar charts, mostly bar charts. And selected objects can be reported via structures. So if I go to a trial balance, for example, I can see GL accounts not only as a list of GL accounts, but also from the point of view of a particular financial statement version. If I have a particular statement version that I want to see my GL accounts, I can use that, and I don't see the list of GL accounts, but I see instead node from that particular financial statement version. Or if I have a structure or groups in cost centers, I can use those in these reports instead of just plain lists of cost centers. The examples for this category, I will show you journal entry analyzer and then a market segment report, which is basically account-based KPI report, profitability analysis. So this is the example, but for this I will switch to the system, and I go to my second group here for multi-dimensional reports. So if I go to a journal entry analyzer, this is a typical first selection screen that you will have to go through, but I'll discuss this, that it can be predefined or customized, that you don't need to do it every time. For now, let's just go through this, and I accept whatever selection are here. I click OK. And the SAP will give me the standard layout, standard filter for this particular journal entry analyzer. I'd like to show you briefly the pieces of on the screen. Here you have dimensions that you can use. Dimensions mostly meaning what kind of characteristics I want to use for the report. It's a journal entry analyzer, so logically it would be company codes and the GL accounts. And what kind of measures I want to see. What measures are basically just amounts in transaction currency, global currency, or freely defined currency, or amounts or quantities, generally speaking. And I'm okay with this. I have columns. I don't need to do anything here, so I'm okay. Here, I can define filters. If I want particular filters, I can add filters here to my multi-dimensional report. Let's say that I want to run this for different company codes. So I just add a company code here, not a particular value, but by clicking here, I'm adding this field to the filter. And I say go. So now when I show the filter bar, I have the company code here. If I want to see only 1710 company code, I can put it here, or I can define particular conditions. And then I can also, of course, change the layouts here. If I want to see something, or I don't want to see certain amount here, if I only want to see GL account name, or if I only want to see company code number, not the name itself, I can deal directly with here like company code. And what I display is not key and text, but let's say just the key. So by clicking on this, I just reduce the number of columns and I only see the company code here. I can do the same with the GL accounts. But for the GL accounts, what I told you before, I can use a hierarchy, right? So I don't need to see GL account numbers, if it makes sense. For journal entry analyzer, probably not so much, but for other records, you may actually want to use it. And if I have, let's say, financial statement version 1720, I take it, and I don't see the GL account numbers anymore, but I see instead the nodes from the financial statement version. Like you can see assets and then current assets and so on. You see the point. And then what I can do also easily from here. When I got here, I told you that let me just move the bar here. If I click on this share button or actions button, I can create a new tile which will actually be keeping all my selections in it. So when I change the measures, or I added a new characteristic to the rows, or I change the company code display, or I change the GL display not by GL account but by the financial statement version node, it's all gonna be here in the new tile. And if I use it, I don't need to go through the selection criteria anymore. It just comes directly the way how I defined it while being here. Okay, so this is just a brief introduction of the this particular report type. Many of these queries they have their own tile. Like this particular journal entry analyzer, it has its own tile, right? But there are more queries and more CDS views that don't necessarily have their own tiles out of the box, but you can run them through the query browser. So if you have the authorization, if you're a business analyst, or you have super users, you have had a training, you can run this query browser directly, and you see here 842 views right now out of the box, and SAP keeps adding new views with every update. Then I can either search for a particular view if I have a keyword or something, or when I have found something that I want to keep, I can show favorites here. This is what I marked as my favorite. And then if I go to particular, I select, let's say, the cost and actuals for the demo. I can explore these views from the content point of view. So SAP will show me what kind of fields it has, what kind of connections. For more technical people, what kind of annotation, which I don't want to go to. But for here, I just wanted to show you these are the fields in this view. Here I can actually mark it as favorite or not. I can add even tags for further, more flexible search. And then if I look, like if I click on this open for analysis, I'm back in the screen that you saw before, which is actually bringing me to running that query in the screen that you are familiar with now. And here I can, if it's not a query that exists as a standard tile, you can define it by yourself. You can jump, you can select your characteristics, you can adjust the layout, and then you can create a new tile, and this tile will be for you sitting on the launchpad waiting to be executed. If you want to create tiles that should be available for other users, some more technical details will have to be done. So that's not directly visible for all users. When you create a tile this way, like export as a new tile, it's only available for you. Let me get back. And to my screen, this is what I showed you, the standard tiles and query browser. And now KPI and OPI tiles. So key performance and operating performance indicators are based on the philosophy of embedded analytics in SAP. So here, an example would be tiles with some numbers in it, right? So you can define particular ways how you want to see. So what does it mean? I have the tile cash discount utilization. It means that I'm using actually my proposed cash discount based on payment terms at this 76%. Let me just come here back briefly. KPI and OPI tiles exist in various areas in finance, mostly accounts payable, receivable, credit management, dispute management, and others. And they are basically supporting at a glance exception-based management. The example is going to be exactly this cash discount utilization. So if I go back to the system and I click on it, you can see that you get directly visualized way of your cash discount by date here, by timeline, but I can change it. I can do it by company code, or I can do it by supplier. So I can see immediately. So this is more analytics than reporting, but if you're in the position like AP supervisor or treasurer or cash manager, and you are interested in seeing these cash discount metrics, you can come directly here. You can switch between charts and tables easily. So imagine this is out of the box. You don't have to do anything. It's right here for you. You can play with this. And even if you want to define something different, you can come here. And when you save a tile, you can define different metrics and different tile formats. So I showed you numeric tile, right? But you can have comparison tiles. You can have dual tile, which means that you actually see two different angles of the same metric. So the whole window here that you see gives you another vast amount of flexibility to see particular metrics for these KPIs that SAP defined. When you create such a tile, again, as before, I showed you with the queries, will be there for you on the Fiori Launchpad. So that's the KPIs, and of course, there is a tile where you can define your own KPIs. It's probably, again, for more technical people, but it can be done relatively easily. And as you can see, we have here a few custom-made KPIs playing at Illumity, just testing the functionality. Coming back to the presentation. So I showed you the configuration. This is interesting, right? So in 1709, you have this much of the KPI configuration where you can see what color the number on the tile will show. If it's target, if it's warning, if it's critical, this is the only thing you can actually define. You define your threshold here. But here in 1909, the configuration screen is much bigger and actually gives you many more options. I showed you briefly, this is the threshold, but you can also select what kind of tile type you can see. So the possibilities are really immensely bigger, and they keep getting bigger as you keep developing new ways of enhancing the reporting and analytical functions. And I showed you the custom KPI app that you can create your KPI tiles yourself. The last on my report type page was overview pages. This was really only probably a few pages in 1709, but in 1909 you have per area, usually per area, for general ledger, accounts receivable, payable, asset accounting, sales accounting, overview pages, and I will show you in a minute. And SAP keeps adding new overview pages all the time. They basically are pushing and enhancing this analytical view or usage of SAP, which is, in the end, the real big high-level purpose of the system, right? To have good, detailed, and at your fingerprint, the information that by which you run the business. So the example I will show you is this accounts receivable overview. If I go to my other screen, I have all the 1909 overview pages here. So I just, accounts receivable. The overview page is basically a set of cards with important metrics, right? So you have days sales outstanding here, quick links to particular functions that you want to have, aging analysis, inbox, if there is a workflow and I need to process certain actions in my inbox. If I go down, cash collection tracker, and here you can see you have, by these cards, you have various options. So I want to see by company code or accounting clerk. I want to see the AR breakdown by accounting clerk or company code or risk class, right? All this is here. And if you want to, of course, the filter, as always, is here at the top of the screen, which you can define adapt filters. So if you click on adapt filters, you can add other filters on the screen. And also here, if you go to the user icon here, you have this manage cards option where you can say, oh, I don't want to see the AR breakdown now, so I can turn it off. Or I don't want to see exceeded credit limit for now, so I just turn it off. And they will be gone, right, from your overview page, and you will only see what you need to see. Then you can close this filter section and you go in your analytical work as needed. So these are the overview pages. Excuse me. So by this, and I showed you the how to manage cards in overview pages, it's really almost impossible to show you all the functionality in these report and analytical tools in Fiori. My goal here is to give you an overview and direct you in exploring the options yourself. So these four main categories in the financial reporting, and they are not only financial reporting, right? They are in all other areas of SAP. But these are the main categories that you can and definitely will be exploring as you are on the journey with Fiori. Just to summarize briefly the general features for these reports. You have filters. You can add or remove particular filters. You can have filter sets. You can hide and show filter bar, as I showed you, right? So if I go back to the overview, I can open the filter and I can adapt filters. Of course, SAP marked certain filters as mandatory. I don't want to get rid of those but if I don't want to see any of these, I can easily uncheck these. And then if I go here, I only see what I want to see. And then I can save them or save them here as standard, save as. So next time, if I define it as a default for me, this will be the filter set when I come to this tile next time. So you can create this. I showed you how to manage the cards here. But in other reports where we had, let's say, the manage supply line items. If I click go, you have the layout function, right? So you can come here and settings. So what fields do I want to see? Do I want to see all of them, or am I seeing all of them? Do I see how many I have actually at my disposal? I only see probably the first 10, and then I don't want to see certain. So you see the point. And then you can save the whole thing again under the view. If you want to customize your view for your particular needs, you can easily do so. And then when you, as I said, do the save as tile, next time you come to this very tile, it'll be with your customized, it's going to be right there. To the Fiori reports in S4HANA, save a style and freeze all your selection criteria, user specific. So further steps are required if you want to share it among the group. If you created something for all your AR department and you want to share that, there is a way, or there are some steps that you need to take in order to share it. Exportable. So many of these styles have direct link or way to export to Excel file, or where applicable, you can even do the Adobe. I will show it to you. Actually, I can do it right. Particular tile balance sheet income statement. If I run it here, and here you see right there. So I ran it. I had predefined statement version. I had my company code. Everything looks fine. I'm okay with this. I can click here, export to PDF. Do I want to show GL account or I don't? Let's say I do. I click yes. And right here, I can see the PDF file. I can print or send or save or whatever, right? It's all out of the box. Really, what I had to do, I had to actually contact my technical colleague. He had to define a printer for. Other than that, it was all their standard export. And you can see this is relatively decent, presentable financial statement that you can use out of the box. So this is the other feature, that the exportable functions in SAP, in Fiori, are much more enhanced than before. So next, Fiori groups, right? All tiles in Fiori, SAP has plenty of transactions, plenty of reports. So how are they organized? Usually they are organized in reporting or analytics groups. And at Illumity, we have actually developed a streamlined set of Fiori groups based on standard Fiori catalogs. So if I go to the system, these are the groups that I can see. For this presentation, I have created my own groups here, right? The financial reporting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, GL and P and all this. But these, when I go further down, these are out of the box SAP or Illumity particular custom-made Fiori groups. And usually you will find your reports either under under reporting or analytics folder. So if I go, let's say, fixed asset reports, you will find all your fixed, or not all, but many fixed asset reports in that group. Or if you go to, let me go to analytics for accounts payable. So here you have many AP tiles, and you see SAP is loading the data and updating the numbers on the tile, so you have real-time refreshed data right here on, out of the box. So these are the groups in Fiori, how they are organized. Mostly, when I get back to my report types, operating reports and query reports are in the reporting for AP or GL groups. Analytics, if you see the word analytics in the Fiori group, these are for KPI or OPI tasks or overview pages. Yes, the groups and in reporting and analytics do overlap occasionally, so you can, it's not exact science here. This is just more like a guideline or where to start your exploring. And in all the Fiori groups, of course, there are also both new Fiori apps and classic GUI reports. So you have in your Fiori that you have all your reports that you need available in particular groups. This is for reference. I go to all these details, but we will send you this deck. So these are particular tiles in particular groups or areas of finance, like for general ledger reports. And I have them here. If we had more time, I would go to some of them, but I showed you these tiles during the report type overview. but here I sorted them and arranged them by a finance area. So here is the number of tiles that I thought would be beneficial, and these are only new Fiori net new tiles. Then for AP, I have this set here. For AP, for AR, I have these tiles here. We will send you this deck, and here you have the full list of my tiles that I was actually collecting for this presentation. So you can start your exploring by using these tiles. Fixed assets. In fixed assets, that's a little interesting. You have multiple, probably you've seen it in ERP or in Fiori, that you have multiple tiles with the same name. Like, it's a typical thing in fixed asset. You have probably around 10 different tiles with the same name asset balances. You click yourself in, you click on the and some distinguishing feature or name of the or something that actually tells you what kind of asset balance it is actually. So this is a quick tip when you're exploring the apps. And the last section for now is the cost accounting and profitability analysis report. Just the few starting tips for cost center reports. Display line item in contrast. Production cost analysis. That's actually very nice, very good app, new app, which didn't actually exist in ERP. You can see, please go there if you're using production controlling, product costing, you on the manufacturing, please go there. It's a very powerful, very good financial app. Before we conclude with S/4HANA, we have three topics I want to mention now. It's semantic tags, flexible hierarchies, and global accounting hierarchies. Semantic tags are base tags, right? You have either GL account ranges or financial statement nodes or something that you want to define a level tag. If you want to know income, if you want to know sales, if you want to know something big, you can create a semantic tag, and these can be used KPI apps. So let me go to SAP here, and if I go, we have these versions. You define your semantic tags by financial statement version. You define a like here, let's say revenue, recognized revenue, and then what kind of definition? Is it based on functional area, or is it based on the financial statement item? Is it based on the account? This semantic tags here, and then there is an app that you can run, financial KPIs, standard app, where you can use and see these semantic tags in action. This is just a brief, so you're aware of this. So here, where basically whatever, the currency, local currency or group currency, here the measures are actually in the rows, and they actually talk about working capital ratio. These are all measures based on definition from the semantic tags. So you can use the semantic tags defining your own KPI photo, and then you can run the report by company code in this case and see your KPI immediately out of the box. The only thing you need to know, you need to define are the semantic tags as I showed you here. Then the flexible hierarchies. With flexible hierarchies, we have in financial accounting cost centers and profit centers and company codes for these three objects. We can define flexible hierarchies, and they can be used then in reports, as I will show you. So in the case of cost centers, I can create even custom fields for cost centers, and I did world region. Let me show it to you briefly. So I create a new, brand new field for the world region, right? I define it as 3-digit field, and I created values for this field. So I have one is North America. This is all media. Then I enable the field in Fiori apps, actually managing cost center. So when I go to the cost center master data, you can see that actually some of these cost centers do have world region already maintained, and I can make forward maintenance in the cost center, and I can use that which basically is saying that I don't need to group cost it somewhere but by adding the world region in the master data, it's automatically implicitly grouped in that particular world region. And then I can use it in a cost center report. If I open Design Studio in this query, we go back directly to the world region query. So I use it directly, and you can see if I scroll down here, I can see North America, Europe, right? I'm using this flexible hierarchy directly here. And all I did was creating the field itself, and I maintain the field in the cost center master data. The hierarchy itself is regenerated every time when I use the report. So I don't need to add or maintain cost center reports explicitly all the time. It's automatic flexible hierarchy. And then the last thing I wanted to mention briefly is the global accounting hierarchies. This is basically a tool to maintain groups of various objects in SAP. So I can group companies, I can group cost centers, like I did in the classic way in ERP. So if I want to do cost center hierarchy, I can do it right here. I can create the financial statement versions here, not in the old ERP way. This is just to show you, I just wanted to show it to you that there is a new app in 1909, accounting hierarchy. So going forward, SAP will be using these hierarchies more and more. Let me get back to the presentation. We're running out of time slowly. So this is what I mentioned. This is what I just described, global accounting hierarchies. You can see that 1909 hierarchy is 1709 and global accounting hierarchy is 1809. So it's really a huge area, and what it defines really is the business need. What business users or analysts need. It needs to be defined first, and then you can look for particular tools or apps to maintain it. In closing, I just wanted to point out that this is the evolution in the SAP financial reporting, right? Historically, in ERP, we had financial reporting meant mostly presenting data from posted accounting documents. You post something, you go to a report, and it shows there. In the current state of affairs with Fiori, you have the KPIs and OPIs, so it's much more analytical. Of course, you can always run this time, and you need them, right? When you need to report to your management, to auditors, and the bank, and everything. But for your internal analytical purposes, you have many out-of-the-box analytical reporting. And then it started already, you have the predictive function. So you have predictive accounting with so-called extensional ledgers, which you can actually somehow predict what if I have sales orders in this, but I haven't actually built anything, revenue I can expect in the third quarter. This predictive accounting will be more and more important. And of course, with the forecasting and simulating tools in the SAP Analytics Cloud and planning in particular is going to be even much more powerful. So with this, I would conclude my presentation. And before we go to questions, Rihanna, back to you.
Thank you, Ludo. As Ludo mentioned, that ends the demonstration portion of today's webinar. Want a moment to type in any questions they may have for Ludo over anything he covered so far today in the Q&A panel. Take the moment to share with you 2 new complimentary offerings being introduced by Lumity. Our first offering is our complimentary Talk to an Expert program. This program provides you with an opportunity to connect with a Lumity expert in finance, human capital management, or logistics. Sessions and are limited to a maximum of 4 attendees per session to ensure you each have time to engage with our experts. Our Talk to an Expert session is designed to give you an opportunity to discuss the challenges your business is currently facing with one of our functional area experts. And if your questions can't be answered within the session, we'll make sure to get back to you in a timely fashion with the answer you need. An email with more information on how to participate in this program will be sent out following today's webinar. The second offering is our one-on-one COVID-19 business advisory sessions. Illumity is offering free 1-hour sessions with Lorraine Howe, Vice President of Research and Development, and Shoshana Jamison, Director of Continuous Improvement. These sessions are designed to help companies better understand the obstacles their businesses are facing during these difficult times and how to develop innovative solutions for today, the near term, and the future. For more information, please reach out to us directly. With that being said, let's go over to the Q&A portion of today's presentation.
Thank you, Rihanna. And before we go to your questions, I thought these 2 questions that you see on the screen would be also quite relevant. I've been doing it for, as I said, for some time. So when I see Fiori and I see users still using GUI and then probably moving to Fiori, or those new to SAP only starting with Fiori, is there a big difference between really reporting GUI and Fiori reports? I would say that Fiori reports, what I see more and more and with progressing versions, is bringing the financial reporting to a new level. So definitely, yes, if you are still using GUI, you will be using GUI reports for definitely for some time, and some reports are still so good that they won't be replaced easily. But Fiori will give you another dimension of your reporting and analytics. And then if you are running ERP, even if you are on S/4HANA already, but still in GUI, and we have some clients, I've seen some SAP systems like that. And actually, should I move to Fiori? What is it really worth it? Is it some? So from the reporting point of view, I would say it's a big yes. Ever increasing number of new KPIs, analytical apps, queries, and then less custom development if you want to see something specific. Definitely is a big yes is big factor for moving to Fiori. As with this Fiori, with these ads that I try to show you briefly, it's like if you had BI without really having BI. It's so powerful. You have your basic analytical tools, apps directly out of the box. You don't really have to do anything. Just spend time and explore particular functions. All right, so now to your questions.
Okay, the first question that we have today is, can we have multiple views linked together for a more exhaustive report?
Yes, you can. It depends on the business requirement, as like typical answer would be. But the CDS views are adjustable, or you can create your own CDS views. So where it makes sense, it would just require a technical skill, whether it's in-house or by Lumity. But definitely the answer is yes. Yes, you can combine. It's in a way, if you have had something in ERP like a quick viewer, the ABAP query tools. This is something similar, but much, much more powerful. So yes.
The next question is, this is an ask to share an example of a controlling report like KSB1/KSB2. I don't know, would you be able to show that in the system, Ludo?
KSB1 and KSB2?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can go directly. Let me go to ERP, to GUI. If I remember, it's the line items, right? Like cost center line items. But let me just make sure. KSB1. So I just run it like this. That's fine. Display actual line items for cost centers. I think I had something like that. As I said, I selected for my presentation, I selected the Fiori apps based on my preference, but I believe that here in costs, I believe that display line items and controlling would be something similar. And yes, it may not look exactly the same as you use from GUI, but after you options here, I'm sure you would. In general, I would think it's always a little better in Fiori than how it's in GUI. But it's a flat statement. I don't want really to stick to it too much. So if this answers your question, that's how I understood your question.
Perfect.
Next.
I'm giving a last call right now for any additional questions for Ludo. While I'm doing that, thank you again, Ludo, for giving today's demonstration. It was very insightful. If we don't have any more questions for Ludo today, we will be ending today's webinar. I want to thank everyone for your participation. And if you do find that you have any additional questions for Ludo or myself or about any of the other offerings that were discussed today, feel free to reach out to our team. The contact information is all available within the invite. In addition, there is a short survey that will be prompted at the end of this webinar. We would greatly appreciate any feedback you can provide us on our team to continue to produce more webinars like these and continue to improve the qualities of these webinars. So if you have any other topics that you'd like for us to cover or any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. That's to an end. To have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you all. And as Rihanna said, please let us know if you have more questions. We can discuss particular topics in more depth.